Hi everyone, it's Andrew Layne with Layne Performance, and I just came across a headline I wanted to discuss really quickly, and that is that a survey found that a quarter of people are not planning to come back to the gym. Now it's July 2020, so I think you know why that is. We're not supposed to say the specific name because of YouTube rules, but we're all adults. I think we know what I'm talking about. And so I want to dive into this survey just a little bit, and let's see if it's actually going to hold up. Now, I came across this study from studyfinds.org. It's a website that will kind of discuss the highlights of different studies. I don't necessarily recommend it because they can be kind of biased and they're looking for that shock headline. So unless you really dive into the study and know how to sort of examine that information, take everything you read there with a grain of salt. This particular survey was commissioned by a company called LifeAid Beverages. They call themselves the Functional Beverage Company. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. What does that mean? Is there a non-functional beverage? This word kind of drives me crazy. And the reason is because so many companies and also individuals in the fitness industry, they get away with using these buzzwords. And they're type of words that we know what they mean in our daily life. We know if something functions, then we know what it means. And so we just sort of apply that broadly, even in different contexts. But if you really think about what is functional training, what is a functional beverage, what does this stuff really mean? And people get away with just using those words all the time. And it drives me a little crazy. Anyways, we'll move on from that. Back to the topic. So a study was commissioned by a beverage company, and the company who actually did the survey is called OnePoll, and they're a market research group. And so this is not necessarily a scientific survey. I'm sure they're trying to do the best they can because they're companies that commission these polls. They're going to make decisions based on this information. But keep that in mind as we go through this. Now, the survey says, big headline, a quarter of people not wanting to return to the gym, ever. But if you dig into this a little bit, you see a third of people are saying they're just going to come a little bit less. We have a good number of people who are using home gym setups, and that's pretty obvious. I've actually sold some equipment from the gym during this period, and it went for a good price and it went quickly. People, they almost cannot stock gym equipment right now because people are buying it up so quickly for their home gyms. And so I'm not too surprised by that. Some of the more interesting numbers that I've found that kind of match what I've experienced, people have said they're going to wait a little bit once things reopen before they jump back into the gym. I think that's pretty smart, kind of see how things go. We're seeing in Florida, since the reopening, we're seeing some big spikes in the cases once again. And so I've seen this kind of ebb and flow, and it was like that for a week or actually for about a month after reopening. It's a very slow process getting back going. A few people came back pretty quickly, but particularly my older clients, it took them a while to kind of trickle back in. And then we hit a point where things, the pandemic was out of the headlines. We had other stuff going on. This has been a wild year so far. And people started to, I think, become a little bit more confident when they weren't seeing these headlines all the time. We'll get back to that in a minute and why that's important. And then it started to kind of trail off again. So my website traffic has dipped back down, and a lot of it is seeing these cases spike once again. I think people are nervous and getting more nervous as the news gets back out about all this. And this has started to dominate the headlines once again. So people are staying home, they're waiting a little bit to see how things kind of shake out. And I think that one of the things I was going to mention here about the headlines. So one of the things I wanted to mention about these headlines is I'm really interested to see if this actually holds up over time, if people really aren't going to come back to the gym. And I think as things settle down, as perhaps a vaccine comes along, and we get a little bit more comfortable with this, and it goes back out of the headlines, and we're not thinking about it every day because we're stuck at home, I'll be interested to see if this holds. I tend to think people will come back. But there's another part of me, and I've always thought that the fitness industry would be going more online. And I think if you're a fitness company or a gym and you don't have online options or some sort of online presence going, you're going to be in trouble. I used to think that I had maybe 5 or 10 years to prepare for that. It looks like that's coming faster than I thought. Now, My gym, I do have a little bit of advantage in that the things that I cater to require some specific equipment that is also maybe cost prohibitive for people at home. There's also a lot of noise and other things involved with weightlifting and dropping weights. And so that may not be feasible for people in their home gyms. But I think that we still need to be moving toward apps, moving toward online instruction, online coaching, online programming. That's going to be the way that this is going to go. I don't think I'm breaking any news here. But another really interesting thing out of this survey is people's attitudes toward cleaning. And if you are at the gym or you own a gym, you know getting people to clean equipment can be difficult. But people are saying they're about 43% of people, or I'm sorry, 38% of people are saying they're more likely to wipe down equipment before they start using it, which is something I recommend anyways. At my gym, I'm requiring people to wipe down their equipment after they use it. So we're wiping plates, bars, any sort of contact surface regularly to hopefully cut down some of the spread here. The other interesting thing is the use of masks. So I imagine that most people don't want to wear a mask while they're exercising. I don't think it's very comfortable, but you can get used to it. But people are saying that they would actually feel safer at a gym where people are wearing masks. In fact, 83% of people in this survey said they would feel more comfortable wearing a mask. So that's something I'd be interested in hearing about. Are you more comfortable wearing a mask? Would you like to see masks here at Layne Performance? That's something we might think about if it comes to that. I imagine that mandatory mask rules may be coming down for Florida soon. So that may not even be a question by the time you're watching this, but we'll see how that goes. I'm really interested in those numbers. And I'm not too sad that people are going to be more likely to help out with cleaning around the gym. Being a sole proprietor by myself and having to do all the janitor stuff, yeah, I'm okay with that. But before I finish my thoughts on this video, and again, I really think once things kind of die down that I think people will be more willing to come back to the gym than maybe they think right now. But there's always this guilty pleasure I have when I read articles like this, and this is the comments. So let's look at a couple of comments because they're pretty good. So starting off here, we've got Hank. What does Hank have to tell us? He says, most of the people who insist they aren't going back were fair weather gym goers in the first place. They just needed a new excuse not to go. The hardcore gym bros and girls will most likely be back to their regular routines, and they will look like they work out. Thanks, Hank. I don't know that I don't like the way he put it necessarily, but there might be a grain of truth to this too. I think it's really easy for us to come up with excuses not to go to the gym. And so we have to come up with strategies to get ourselves here. Sometimes that's actually why going to the gym and having a membership is more effective than a home gym, because you have to go make a special trip of going to the gym. You've paid for it. And so there's a little bit of a motivating factor with that. I've even noticed working out here at the gym by myself, it can be difficult for me to break away from my work duties and other things and actually focus on working out. So it would almost be nice for me to have a gym membership, but right now that's not really an option. Let's go on to the next comment. We have Get Involved saying, one of the worst places to get the virus. Gyms are dangerous. I'm not going back. Again, we'll see how this holds up. I think that gyms are a place where you can get sick. I've noticed when I go to commercial gyms, if I don't wash my hands when I'm leaving, I tend to get sick within a few days. So I definitely understand that. But again, some of these new cleaning practices, people being more aware of the cleanliness of the equipment, we'll see. I'm not quite as negative on gyms being unhealthy as this person is. 3rd Infantry Division says, lazy as are happy about this. They want everyone else to be fat and lazy like them. Okay, kind of like the Hank's sentiments. Not sure about the wording, but okay. Let's see, we've got another one. Good. Gyms used to be for gymnasts and boxers. After the U.S. government endorsed a high-carb, high-sugar diet, everyone had to start ruining their bodies by mindlessly exercising. Now the ideal male body is one of gross-looking muscle tits and veining taut rear ends. It's time to return to a human diet. Huh. So I could go off on a little bit of a rant here about dieting and the need for exercise. Diet's certainly important. You could argue we eat too much, probably too many carbs, too much sugar, but I don't think it's quite the boogeyman that people make it out to be. save that for a different video. But exercise is important regardless of your diet. We know this. That's very clear in the literature. So again, this is part of why I love comments, but they also kind of make my head explode. Any other good ones? Let's see. Hasn't stopped me. Been going to gym regularly during this flu season. So Jack doesn't think this is a big deal. All right, Jack, have fun with that. Any other good ones? Gym bodies are not attractive. Well, I think that's the same person with the sugar diet. So yeah, whatever. I'm going to take their opinion with a grain of salt. Back in the 1980s, I used to go to the gym all the time. I was quite fit, but I would get every cold and flu that was spreading at the time. I quit the gym and now rarely ever get sick. I can't read. Well, yeah, going to the gym is not the only place you're going to get sick. I do think it's a place where people tend to get sick because we're breathing hard and spreading droplets and touching a lot of surfaces. People don't tend to be quite as clean as they could be. But is the gym particularly a place where you're going to get sick? Not anymore compared to other public spaces, I would say. So it's good to wash your hands before and after you leave the gym, wipe down your equipment, and you're going to be pretty good at the gym. Any others? Gyms are petri dishes. So this is kind of a common thing in the comments. It looks like people kind of think that these are germs. I do kind of wonder if these are those people looking for excuses not to go to the gym. Good. I really enjoy going to the gym now. Equipment is always open or very little wait. No crowds. Most of those who are staying away were self-centered jerks anyways. Don't know why we always have to get a dig in someone in these comments. But this is an interesting one because, yeah, it's good for the people who go to the gym for there not to be any crowds. You see this with these places where they charge, say, $10 a month, and they're really looking at volume. They really want you to pay that $10 a month. Forget about it on your bank account. That's why they try to get you on those EFTs, those recurring payment plans. And you just forget about it because, hey, it's just $10 a month. Who knows? I might use it. It's not worth the hassle of canceling. What if I decide I want to go back? And at least I have it there in case. And that's what they want. They want you paying that EFT, staying at home. That's less maintenance for their equipment. That's less cleaning they have to do and all that. The problem is if you cancel your equipment or your membership to one of these places, or if they're not crowded, you don't see many people there, and people are canceling, they're going to be out of business pretty soon. So you're not going to have a place to train. So there's kind of two different ways of looking at that. I think the way this guy's looking at it, yeah, you're going to one of those gyms that has high volume, people aren't canceling their memberships, but no one's going to the gym. That's great. It's great for you when you are going to the gym. But places that do rely on you coming and paying for services and being at the gym, it's not so good. Those people are gonna be struggling pretty soon. So anyways, just my thoughts on this survey. I was kind of panicking about it when I saw it. I think I'm feeling a little bit better. The comments always help. So let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think about the masks, and hopefully I'll see you around.